Alright, back again. Another installment of game analysis. This one's for Celtic RTS by request. He's playing, as the name implies, Celts. He's going to play against XOOX Prophet. XOOX. The mighty Greek. There's a lot of X's and O's. Same disclaimer as always. It's not about the matchup. It's about the player. So this matchup, even though it's a bit in Greek's favor, I'm going to try and stay away from that as much as I possibly can. A little macro thing, you can pop your village through the town center there, that'll speed you up. Your storehouse placement here is pretty bad. It should be right in the middle of the hunts, not off to the side. Notice how these ones up here are like, this is going to be a pretty far distance for you to travel. You didn't kill all the hunts either. You should kill all of them. But this should be like probably right here if you can get it, so that you maximize distance there. This could be a little closer. I don't know if you know about the camera rotate, but you should definitely use it. Get into a habit of using the camera rotate so that you make sure that's right up in that little crook, because that's an insane place to put a storehouse, but you've just kind of misplaced it. See how there's like a space in between. You want to avoid that if you can. Your scouting pattern is a little awkward, but that's a bit due to the map size. These are just little things. Really, the only reason why I bring these up so much in the early game is there's really not a lot else for me to do. And getting a nice crisp start honestly snowballs into having a much better game. You had a hunt here that you ran by that you should have killed. That one's killed. Good. You've scouted your back resources, which is good, because it's always good to know when there's defensive resources. House. I would like to see, let's see where you go with the next house after this one. Notice how the hunt that you didn't kill here now is just like wandering around and got into a really far away spot. That's why you want to make sure you kill them all right away. I would try and like make a little wall with your houses here. Yeah, that's okay. It all just depends on how you're going to set up your base. But overall, this looks pretty good so far. Make sure you bring the goats back. Oops. You want to try and get these villagers in here a little bit. That's also with the camera rotate. You want to get these guys nice. Like, look at this villager. When she goes to drop off, she's going to book it all the way around this house and drop it off, and that's losing a lot of seconds. So you want to make sure that they're actually, like, you should have a couple guys on these trees here, because otherwise your tree line's going to get all messed up. You've got too many over here, but, like, those are just little macro things. It's hard to comment on like exact build orders without being able to see it. This isn't so great. I would have this either as part of the building wall or in a more defensive position, but this is just kind of awkward. Like, it's not bad, but it's not like it's not in a place where it's really doing anything. So you could definitely have it in a better spot. And there's that early spearman rush, which isn't too big of a deal for you to deal with. Your barracks is probably a little late if that's getting there that early. Ooh, don't build on that. That's not good. Definitely, when like there's hunt in line of sight of your TC, don't go building on the berries, especially when you presumably already have hunting dogs. Like, definitely should have gone on that hunt. That's a pretty big mistake. Berries gather at like 2/3 of the rate of hunts, and you have a hunting upgrade already. Like, there's definitely no reason you should not use that. Gotta have a swordsman popping out of here pretty soon, hopefully. I don't know if you're aged up. You are. Okay, there's a swordsman. Good. Get a free spearman kill. Okay, so this is the right building. This is the right building, but it's it was wrong in two ways. The first way is you built it well. His spearman was still here. So one, he gets free scouting, gets free intel. That spearman was dead. Like, he was snared by a faster moving unit. That spearman's dead. You should just wait like a split second until that spearman is completely dead, so that you can hide your tech a little bit. And then this is also in kind of an awkward spot. I'd try and have it either in a building wall or defensive, are kind of your two options. Your two options really when you're making buildings are to line them up and get a good building wall, or keep them in a moderately defensive location. And this is just like, everything's just like grouped in a wad here. Like, you're kind of defeating the purpose of your building wall. Dropping all these houses out at the same time is definitely not good. Like, that means you had a lot of resources stacked up. So right now it seems like it's just little macro things. So like here, like these houses could have been built incrementally in a much better time to improve your overall macro. Your building placement, like this is just a mess right now. Let me look at your storehouse situation. Like, these guys are all could be spread more evenly in here. That would all be good. Just all these little things that you can clean up. I don't think you're necessarily making big mistakes, and compositionally you're doing what is more or less correct. Don't want to lose your units like that though. Honestly, like if you don't get out an early swordsman, I would say with your first maybe swordsman or two, you can raid, but after that, like, it's really hard to raid with Celts. There's really actually not much point once you get past that. You're dropping off 11s for gold. How about wood? You're only 10s for wood, so you don't have the wood upgrade there. It just came. So that was a 6-minute wood upgrade. That was pretty slow. That should happen almost immediately upon aging every single time. It maybe had something to do with the fact that your food storehouse and your food gathering got a little interrupted, but that kind of comes back to being able to, you should have storehoused here. I still don't know if you just don't know that that's here, or if you just can't be bothered to go on to it, but yeah. So here, this, like, all of this is just poorly placed. Like, this needs to be more thought out. Like, all of this is so easy for him to abuse. Like, how are you going to stop if he has a better army, say? How are you going to stop him from just, like, hitting on these with archers and hippospis and not, and defending it? It's just like, all of this is just all clumped up in one big group. It's a pathing nightmare for you in your own base, which is one thing you don't want. You want pathing in your own base to be good. That's good, getting a little line of sight. Should be moving your scout around. You want to know where his second gold, if he's got second back gold. But mostly it just is coming down to right now to this building position. These buildings are poorly positioned in general. This barracks is also a slight mistake. Compositionally, what tends to be, I think, best against Greeks is to go barracks, range, and then add a second barracks later, only if he's going cav heavy, or if he makes cav at all. He doesn't made any cav here, so here you can see he's gone like double racks, but and I still think slinger with some long swords is best against Greek. This is just all of this needs to be much more well thought out. Like, you've got this side is just completely open. And this is just all like this, for example. How are you going to ever defend that? There's no way, especially if you're behind an army military count, you're ever going to be able to defend any of this. Yeah, and so here comes his army, and like this especially now, like if this were being built right back here, it'd be up and it would be easily defendable, but here instead you're being forced to move out of your base and come and fight, which is not something that you want. You're splitting up your army, make sure you keep them together. This is once again going to be pretty much impossible to defend. It's just going to go down. He's got a much stronger composition than you right now. You've got some units that you're not controlling. Definitely when you're behind, don't fight out in the open. Fight in a more defendable location. You've got all kinds of units here that aren't partaking in the fight. You've got a bunch of idle villagers. Just all these things just add up into one. So the game's pretty much over here. So I'm going to start doing the late game analysis, or the end game analysis. The biggest things I would try and work on is your building placement, because that seems pretty poor in general. Like, all this needs to be much more well thought out, and nice arcs, defending your base, giving you line of sight on all sides of your base, and defending all of your base at once. Especially stuff way out here that's impossible to defend. If you can't defend it, don't build it out there. It's simple as that. Make sure you scout well, especially in the early game. You've had a hunt here the entire time that you could use, that you just haven't used. Your your macro in general, like your storehouse replacement, try and focus on getting your storehouses in better places, and replaced more often. Your gold mine is good. Your wood upgrade was very slow, which is not something that's good. Your gold upgrade was pretty good, but yeah. And then in general, when you're behind, especially in this matchup, honestly, you're kind of confined to fighting in your base in this matchup with some druids to help. And you're just not doing that. There you ran right by that hunt. You didn't even consider it. You just went straight on to some berries. Definitely use the hunts when you can. But yeah, when you're fighting in your base, like actually fight in your base. There's no need to come out here. The only reason why there's a need for you to come out here, honestly, is because you've got poorly placed buildings. If these were in a more defendable location or in a nice arc around your TC, there'd be no reason for you to come out here. The only reason for you to come out here, and the only reason you have come out here this entire game, is because of this poor building placement. So building placement, early game macro, storehouse positioning, etc. I would say those are your biggest flaws. I don't think that your composition is too bad. I mean, you've done a pretty good job of adapting to what he has. You've seen that he's gone more barracks heavy, so you've gone more barracks heavy. That's good. You're building an armory, which is more than a lot of players can say for themselves. You've idled your scout for a long time. Your scout's just kind of stood here, hasn't really moved around much. You could definitely have intel based on where he's hunting. Maybe when he's fighting you, send 1 or 2 longswordsmen, sneak around and try and get some free vill kills. Scout where his second gold is, because if you're going to have a timing where you can win, it's going to be like when he's going to push out to a second gold, but you don't know if his second gold's back here or if his second gold is one of these two. For example, if his second gold is right here, he's going to have to come out of his base. Let's back this up, and let's say that you're actually ahead. I'm just going to kind of ignore this fight because I know that you're going to lose this fight. Let's say that you had broken even, and the game was progressing into a longer Age 2 fight. It'd be really important to know whether or not he's got gold here and can potentially camp behind his building wall and either age or continue to mass, or if he's going to come out. If he's going to come out, you can just camp your army right on the gold mines and make sure he doesn't get gold, and you can gold starve him in that way. So intel is really important here. Aside from his first 3 military buildings, you know he's got a stable just because you've seen he's got Sarasofri out on the map. But you don't really know what else he's got. My guess is that he's probably aging here. No, looks like he's got a pretty good army. He's making far too many talks. This is a mistake on his part. You're still going to lose the fight, though, just because you don't have quite enough slinger count. And that's game, and you should probably tap out there. Yep. So those are the little things that I would try and focus on. I would try and focus on your early game macro, your building placement, and your scouting. I would say those are the 3 most important things. So take those, try and improve them. Watch the video multiple times if you need to. Just pick up on all those little things. So hopefully it helped, and that is the end of this video.